Good morning. My name is David Santasteven. I've been a land broker I've been at Colliers International for 38 years, heading up the land advisory group. I've been in the land world, I guess, for 40 plus years. I'll start over. Hi, my name is David Santasteven. I am a land broker.
Hi, David. I just wanted to let you know we haven't started the meeting yet. We're still waiting for a few more committee members to get here. So no one can hear you at the moment, but we'll get started in just a few minutes and unmute you at that time.
You guys ready? All right. All right, good morning and welcome to the Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee Selection Committee meeting. I'm Adrian Paniagua. I am a Senior Financial Program Analyst at SANDAG, and thank you for joining us today. We'll begin with selecting a chair to lead today's meeting. A motion and a second are required, followed by a roll call vote by the clerk. Once selected, the chair will facilitate the meeting with staff support as needed. Please raise your hand if you would like to nominate someone or volunteer. Thank you.
Do we need a public comment?
We haven't.
So Mayor Snow raises her hand to volunteer. Do we have a second? Okay, Mayor White. And we'll just do aye or no. I'll approve. All right. Okay. So Mayor Snow will now be the chair if you want to ask for public comment. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Before we start, we have an interpreter, and if they can go ahead and do the instructions first.
Do we have any public comment?
Thank you, Chair. We do. First, we'll go to Truth and then the original draw online. And those are our two public comments on this item.
Okay, I'm very confused because it seems like, I didn't bring my binoculars, so I'm trying to see who's here. And I do not see Todd and I do not see Tara, loss of reason. That's interesting. And I had much to say the same at the last Borders Committee, but choosing to have the meeting on the same day as the Executive Committee and the Board of Directors is selfishly inconsiderate of others. I personally do not like doing 2 to 3 meetings a day or having to wake up any earlier than is already required to attend the next ones. Because you guys got to remember, I don't get taxpayer funded food or stipend to attend. So scheduling a meeting at this time is putting extra undue burden on the public. And by public, I just mean me, I guess. That should be a consideration when planning any committee meeting, that it's not overlapping other meetings, thereby disenfranchising public input. And by the way, the timer is also really far away. I want it right here, right in front of me so I can see it. And why does this meeting matter? Why are Todd and Tara not here? They should be, because this is a political power play situation. I was actually sure that at least one of them was going to show up. Because usually they're interested in destroying as many jurisdictions as they possibly can. And since they're not here, I guess I'm just going to be talking behind their backs, but that's okay because I've said it to their faces many times as well. Because I wonder, what did Todd know about the 125 toll fiasco? He was here when there was publicly available knowledge about Eton failing many of their other projects across the country. They had many delays, and yet they all still chose that company. And that's how we got here. I know Latchkey Kevin didn't understand why we had to have all these new codes and update them, because there was so much corruption going on for so many years. And that's also when I take issue with ITALK, because they're supposed to be the oversight of the tax dollars, and yet they failed miserably. So I have a big critique for many people. And then it's funny because Tara's whined about federal cuts. She's got full-blown TDS. And I didn't want to believe that was real, but there are people like Tara that exist. Yet she doesn't say anything about the cuts that San Diego is doing. They're cutting basic essentials like restrooms, and she has nothing to say about it. Those are her allies. And so I really would like this committee to get on track. Hopefully you guys are going to do it. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be the original draw. You can go ahead.
Is this for non-agenda? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I don't know why you can't answer people. And you guys are late. It's like you sit there and you show up, 15 minutes after the meeting's supposed to start. You're wasting the people's money and time when you should be, making sure that you guys can show up on time, because if the public or your bosses, are late by, any matter of time, they don't get to speak. So you guys are being paid to be there. You need to be there on time and take this job seriously, especially when, the public is, relying on you guys to provide information to them. And if you can't be trusted to even be on time, but you can mosey on in whenever you guys feel like it. Obviously, you don't take it very seriously. and you're also, you know, being disrespectful to the, like, one of the guys that was sitting there about ready to talk when the meeting started and nobody was there. So you're making people wait, and it's completely disrespectful. But, and you guys need to make sure that you're actually really an oversight committee for taxpayer dollars, because there is a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse that's going on across the county. You guys are included in that. And it's like everybody wants to, you know, look at the federal government and the taxes or the money that's being cut, but don't, you know, look at your guys' own fraud, waste, and abuse that you engage in. Usually only things come forward because it goes out to the press, and then you have to address it. But there's many things that have taken place where SANDAG has made promises, empty promises, given lip service to the people that they work for, which is the public. Like, you guys always forget who your boss is, and you try and sit here and, you know, talk to the public, you talk down to the public, you treat them like crap. You don't really respect them as you would an actual boss. So you guys need to really be doing your job and making sure that our money is being spent the way it's supposed to be spent, not just going to, you know, and into things that are going to engage in corruption and fraud, waste, and abuse. So do your job. And
Thank you. Your time has expired, and that concludes the public comments, Chair.
Thank you so much. Next, we will proceed with the tribal acknowledgement.
And pledge of allegiance, please.
I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of San Diego region have historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its peoples, who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and the homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from our cultural groups, the Kumeyaay and Digüeño, the Lisueño, and the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the SANDAG community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in the undoing of injustices of the past. Now will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, can you please confirm a quorum?
Thank you. We do have a quorum this morning with the City of San Diego and the County of San Diego absent.
All right, we are on to item number 2, ITALK reappointment and appointment committee. This item covers 2 reappointments and 2 current members whose terms expire in this May 2025, and one new appointment to fill a vacant position. This will be a single action. You can choose to deliberate after each interview, or we can wait until all of them are completed. Starting with the reappointment, for the Technical Screening Committee has recommended Jacqueline Appleton-Dean and Sunny House for reappointment. We are looking to reappoint, we are looking at Ms. Appleton-Dean in the category of large-scale construction projects, and Ms. House in the category of senior executive experience in leading large private-scale organizations. Both applicants are here today for your consideration.
Thank you. I'll just talk to my other members here. Would you prefer to hold deliberations right after each person or wait till the end? We've interviewed both of the candidates.
I'd say do the reappointments first and do them together and deliberate, and then do the new appointment and then deliberate.
Sounds good. Okay, we'll proceed that way.
All right. So typically we've asked each applicant to come up, give a couple, to provide maybe 1 or 2 minutes of introduction, and then the committee members can ask any interview questions they would like. There has been time, once there's been time to discuss and deliberate, we could, then we can move forward with the vote as you guys agreed upon. Up first, we will have Sunny House, private sector. If you could provide the committee a quick overview.
Good morning.
I still think you should be way over there. Yeah.
Sunny, can you please use your microphone? Thank
Yeah.
you.
And then the little green button.
Okay. Good morning, members of the ITALK Selection Committee. My name is Sunny House. I currently serve in the CEO position of ITALK, and I was actually initially appointed in May of 2020 to fill a vacancy. So it was a 1-year term, and then I got reappointed in 2021. And shortly after my reappointment, I was elected chair of the ITALK, so I served in that role and tried to implement a few things differently. Maybe for the first time in a long time, I established some annual goals for ITALK, as well as members of staff for SANDAG, to make sure that we are working towards a common goal, and we track. To this day, we still set the goals and track those goals. Part of that was I thought it would be great to hear from jurisdictions more. So we invite at least once a quarter, we invite a jurisdiction to come that receives transit funds to come in and talk about their projects and talk about challenges. So we have a little bit more direct contact and one-on-one with them. We also set for SANDAG to be more transparent in their reporting and more clear and concise about what needs to be done for us to be able to review and vote. So I've also been very involved in committees. I've chaired some of the subcommittees, triennial audit, selection for audit. I've done annual report, and also we're working now. I chaired the subcommittee that's contemplating an amendment to some of the provisions of the selection process. So, I approach each agenda item with a commitment and to be informed because this is my job as an oversight member, and engage fully in discussions. Everyone knows I typically have comments and questions, but my goal has always been to ensure that the decisions are grounded in transparency and fiscal stewardship and the best interest of the public. So I take my role on as an oversight partner to SANDAG very seriously, and I remain dedicated to supporting the responsible management of transit funds. I bring both my executive experience and my infrastructure practice experience to the discussions, and I'm always eager to continue lending that knowledge in service of the committee. So I would like to thank you for your consideration, and I would be honored to continue to serve on ITALK. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so now you have the choice to ask any interview questions that you may have. We've provided you just a selection of questions. One packet is for appointment, more led towards appointment, and then the other ones are for more led towards reappointment, as they've already served some time on the ITALK committee. So you can ask her 1 question, 2 questions, as many questions as you would like.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for expressing interest in a reappointment. You mentioned setting goals previously. Do you have any new goals if you were to be reappointed?
I am not chair at this point, but I have supported the chair, Marianne Barbaki, and we've had discussions. We have set new goals for this fiscal year, and staff is kind enough to always give us updates on how the goals are being implemented. So it is always part of the agenda packet, and we're working on it. One of the things we're trying to do is the amendment to selection to make it a lot easier for everyone. So that's something we're working on right now.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Can you go in, so the goals, what were the goals that you set and just give examples?
Sure. I don't have the whole thing in front of me, but what we did, as I mentioned, and I worked with staff to get that done, and then we took it to iTalk and got approval. One was to, when I came on board my first term, I didn't see a lot of local jurisdiction communication or presentation. So I thought it was good to hear from the cities and MTS and everyone else that was recipient of a transit fund. So I thought it would be good to get staff to schedule some of these formal presentations, and that's, to me, I enjoy that part of the meeting a lot, because the city of Encinitas comes in and talks about a project that they did with Transnet. And it also shows the public that these dollars are actually being put to good use for the benefit of their communities. The other one was we were looking at actually updating some of the Transnet statement about iTalk to be more in line with the 2021 RTP at the time. So we worked on that. We wanted SANDAG to be a little bit more, like I said, transparent with the agenda packets, little bit more concise on what's being delivered and more transparent and clear on communication of what they're looking for. So I don't remember all the goals. It's been about 4 or 5 years, but a lot of those did get continued into the new goal that are set for this year. So.
Okay. So you said both more concise and more complete, I think, or I forget your exact term.
Yeah.
In the agenda packet.
Yes.
What did you mean more concise and more thorough, or what? I forget
Well,
the word.
we worked with staff to try to make sure, the message is being delivered a little bit more clearly, the importance of what was being asked of us to do, bulletize things, and also just, be transparent. There, at the time, there were, a lot of controversy going on, and we just wanted to make sure staff felt that they can basically be transparent, come to us with information to help us make better decisions and things like that. And we worked, they were very receptive to that. And part of that also was for the triennial audit, for example, because the transit performance gets audited as well as iTalk gets audited. So we wanted to make sure that information being shared with the auditors were appropriate, complete, and so that they could provide their recommendations and things like that. So we worked on a lot of those types of things.
So you've been with this committee for what, 5 years?
5 years now, yes.
So you went through the hard time. And I'm curious on your comments about how the iTalk committee helped that process, helped go through that, and what contribution. In other words, and then I'll have a second question about the auditor, and I assume that it was a change in auditor in there too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we do not deal with the SANDAG performance auditor. We deal with the Transnet performance piece of it, as well as the triennial audit, which is to look at, the processes and things like that, and how transit can be better, clearly communicated, and the delivery be communicated to the public and those types of things.
So going back to the very, I think as we talked beforehand a little bit, and I said I was hesitant to come on to SANDAG because of the controversy, even though I decided I'd do it ultimately. My curiosity and where I'm trying to go is with your 5 years experience on iTalk, during this very critical phase of SANDAG. Did iTalk, in your opinion, provide the oversight? Were there things you would do differently in the future in order to avoid getting in that situation? Did you learn anything from going through that? And maybe describe, since you have the 5 years experience, how iTalk helped bring to light some of the problems in the operation of SANDAG over the last 5 years? It's a big question,
Yes.
but I think you were in a key seat, and I want to understand how you use that and how you will safeguard us in the future.
So our role is basically really strictly related to performance of Transnet and oversight of Transnet. We don't typically deal with the board that often.
Okay.
We do come to the board to provide some reports and things like that. But if there are things that need to be fixed in processes for Transnet delivery, that's what we focus on. We were also victims of some of those issues because we tried to get an amendment about selection process through the board and it failed. What we've learned from that is I think it's important to know what the board members are thinking or, what their concerns are before we come in front of the board. So that's what we're working on. If there's an amendment or something that needs consensus, I think it's important to know what the pulse of the board is. So we learn from that. But a lot of our responsibility is to either recommend something for the board approval or approve it first because it's transit related before it goes to the board. So our agendas are a little bit different, but the compliance part, the triennial compliance part, is something that when the recommendations happen, we made sure that we met with executives at the executive team at SANDAG to make sure that they were paying good attention to these types of compliance issues and changing some of the processes to make sure that it was more clear what was being delivered, what was left on the table because of other, whatever constraints there may be. So that has helped quite a bit as far as public transparency and getting the right dashboard on and reporting on progress and processes and things like that. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe you said that Miriam Bebeki is the current chair?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, good lady. I think you did a really good job of answering all the questions that we have on our sheet already. About the only one that you didn't answer, which I think was an expectation, but still, is your time availability to this very high-paying job.
Yes, I own my own firm. I own a consultancy, basically. I provide advisory, like CEO advisory and strategic planning and things like that. So I have plenty of time to do this. I enjoy this role. It is volunteer, but I read every agenda item packet. I make sure I'm informed to come here and have many, many years of experience. So this is my way of service back to my professional community. So
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And is there anything left undone? What else do you hope to accomplish in your next term?
Well, I think there's still a lot to be accomplished. The main concern is what's being delivered and does that meet the expectations of the public? Funding is constrained at this point, and we want to look towards making sure if there's going to be an amendment to Transnet, that's going to get implemented. So we all know what expectations there are, what shortcomings there may be, and what successes, there have been. So that's kind of the next really big thing we're going to work on is to provide any support we can to staff to get that amendment through the board with the right projects. That's more in line with the current RTP. So.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Good.
All right. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much.
you.
Giselle.
Okay, next up. Next up, we have for reappointment Jacqueline Appleton Dean for construction management. She serving time has been 5 months as she took over a partial. She is now asking for a 4-year term.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here today. So I prepared something just in the sense that I don't want to go on and on and on. All right. Hello, my name is Jacqueline Appleton Dean, and I have served on ITALK, as Adrian said, since December 2024, and I'm here for a reappointment for 4 years. I'm a retired professional civil engineer, and I graduated from San Diego State in 1987. And after that, I started working at Caltrans District 11, San Diego and Imperial counties. And I spent my entire career there. I worked in various departments throughout my 33-year career. And for the last 14 years, I managed and supervised large-scale transportation projects for the South County and Trade Corridors Division. My team's responsibilities included, but weren't limited to, managing and monitoring project scope, schedule, and expenditures, budget, change requests, risk, and communications for all phases of project, including construction. We were responsible for ensuring that funding was being spent appropriately and according to requirements and constraints set forth by the funding agencies. Therefore, we regularly communicated and reported the health of projects and any change requests to our management, funding agencies, and governing boards. I worked with our team to ensure that projects were built efficiently and expeditiously and within budget. We were responsible for analyzing our overall program and compiling decision-making documents to facilitate short and long-term program management. Some of the projects I worked on included the I-8 update program, which was a project, 5 projects actually, that repaved about 50 miles of I-8 in Imperial County. I also worked on the port access projects, which include several projects to facilitate traffic between the working waterfront and the freeway system in San Diego. And then I worked on the SR-11 Otay Mesa Port of Entry project in San Diego, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. So I prided myself on managing projects from a global perspective, taking a lot of aspects and varying points of view into account, which I really hope to bring to the ITALK board along with my other colleagues on the board. On a more personal level, as I said, I retired in 2021. And I did typical retirement things. I traveled, I exercised more, I reconnected with family and friends, and I took on volunteer work. And in 2023, I had the opportunity to go back to Caltrans as a retired annuitant, which was great, rewarding, but I realized a couple of things. I really loved public service, happy to get back to it, but I really loved retirement and all of the benefits of retirement, which is a lot of time to explore new things and our wonderful county. So in 2024, when the ITALK position presented itself, it seemed like a great opportunity to use my expertise, to continue with public service, but also not have a full-time commitment. So it felt like a win all the way around, and it has been very rewarding. I feel like I've only scratched the surface of ITALK. Like I said, I've only been on the board since December, which means I really started in January. But I feel like it's a rewarding opportunity, again, where I can use my expertise and make a difference. I'm used to sitting on the other side of the desk, talking to all of you and telling you, about the projects and things like that, asking for things. So flipping it around, I think I have a lot of knowledge going into the role. So with that, thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Appreciate it. You want to start off with questions, Mayor White?
Sure. Similar, I guess, towards my last question with goals. What goals or contributions do you aim to achieve through your ongoing service?
I think the goals that I aim to achieve, I think top of the list, transparency, accountability, and communications. Through the last few meetings that I've been at, I'm like kind of acutely aware of when something's written, trying to put myself in the public view and reading it. We're highly technical. These jobs are highly technical, the funding, but we need to make sure we're not leaving anything out, but we write in kind of plain language. And some of these projects go on for 10 years. For an example, 10 years. So it's like, if something's still happening, what happened before? It seems like sometimes changes are sudden, but they're not really sudden. We just aren't maybe writing everything. So that's something that I really want to work on.
Thank you.
Mayor Ellers.
Yeah. So I appreciate the transparency, accountability, and communication. And probably the thing that I really like is that you said you put yourself in the role of the public. And that's different than when you sat at the other end of the table. So my question is, and there was a question that was on the the application package as far as conflict of interest. And I'm wondering whether your very long affiliation, which is wonderful from a technical standpoint to contribute to this role, your long affiliation with Caltrans is also in some ways a conflict where the service provider on many of these projects is Caltrans, the partner in implementing it. And so the delivery mechanism is Caltrans. And how do you balance your stated goal of putting yourself in the role of the public with your long affiliation and probably affinity to Caltrans? And how do you keep those apart? Because I would think more independence is called for. I just want to hear your view on how you'll do that.
Well, I think that in working for Caltrans, I mean, the way we kind of structured our team was to challenge ourselves. I mean, I found myself always challenging not only upper management, but my team as a whole, and taking very seriously when we had money from the federal government, state government, local governments. It wasn't our money. And we had, said we were going to do some things with that money. And it was important that we did do those things with the money. And so I don't see it as a conflict. Yes, I have a lot of acquaintances, friends that I worked with for 33 years, of course. But I don't see that as a conflict at all. I mean, I think that most people are trying to do a job. Our job is to get transportation and improvements out to the public. And so I don't think it's a conflict. I think everybody wants to do that, and I'm kind of a piece of that puzzle.
Sure. We're running short on time, so we'll go ahead and move to deliberations if that's okay.
Yes,
All
that's fine. And then just to let you know, for the second half of the meeting, we did have 2 candidates. However, only one did show up today.
Okay.
So for that, you do have 2 choices to move forward. We can either interview the candidate today and move forward with that candidate, or we can go back and do the resolicitation and go back to the technical screening committee. So that is up to the committee.
Do we know why the other candidate was unable to
We are
come?
trying to contact him. But
Okay.
We're not hearing back.
Okay, hopefully we'll hear back before the end of that. All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes. All right, we will move to deliberation. Do we do it in front of? Right, okay, okay, good. All right, we'll go ahead and move to deliberation. Anybody have thoughts?
I would have no problem making a motion. If everyone else is ready, I would make a motion for
Well,
the
it's
appointment of,
going to be one item, so
I'm sorry, what?
we'll wait to the end to make the motion after the other candidates. It's one item, so
Okay.
It'll be with the, depending on how you guys want to proceed. Oh, legal had just said you could separate if you want. Apologies.
One question for staff. There was only one applicant for each position, right?
For the reappointment.
For the reappointments, okay.
In those categories, yes.
Yeah, in those categories, so.
Okay. So in that case, I would make a motion for reappointment of the two applicants in
Not second.
in their individual positions.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We will call a vote.
Chair, I'm so sorry. We do have public comment on this item as
Oh,
well.
wonderful. I'll take it over public comment.
Thank you so much. We'll start with Truth and then allegedly Audra.
On page 5 in the second paragraph, the word specific is misspelled. Second, whoever Todd and Tara would be for, I'm 100% against because they're unqualified and incapable of making unselfish decisions. So it's really good that they're not here. Third, considering how mismanaged SANDAG has been for the last decade, I would advocate for an entire new group of people on this committee if possible, maybe not. Because how could they not ring the alarm on the obvious corruption and financial train wreck of the board of directors, the former CEO, and some of the top staffers that led us on this horrible path? Some of them still work here, by the way. And of the candidates, I am against Rob. He could even show up one, and he works for CBRE, which could cause major conflicts of interest. And he has done much work in Mexico, and I also see that as a very huge conflict of interest on many of the border bias SANDAG projects that are currently in construction. And I appreciated Jacqueline's conciseness, but not the global perspective. And I do remember her from last year. And I said much the same. And also, I mentioned the potential conflicts of working for Caltrans, and particularly SR 11 and OTIMES East, because SR 11 was just torn to pieces. We spent a lot of money, and now they just spent 10 million plus tearing it to pieces. So something went wrong. I don't know if that's Mario or Jacqueline or some other people, but somebody made some serious mistakes. And that's the problem when you have a conflict like that, because then it's your baby and you can't let go of it. You're obsessed with the project to the point that you can't see anything else. And I liked David, what is his name? Stavens' handwriting. It was nice. I don't know if he's qualified. Sunny formerly worked for ACOM. I consider that kind of another conflict. And she mentioned MTS. When did they do a transparent presentation here? Never happened. And the rules say the selection committee must also have the mayor of San Diego, 2 members of the county, and a mayor from Escondido, Poway, San Marcos, or Vista. Does it matter if they're here or not? Does Ron count as 3 people? Do it as wealth of experience going back to the 1800s. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be allegedly Audra.
Oh, you guys can't even show up on time. It's crazy. And then you just don't even say anything about why that was happening. And I don't really know what our discussion is about here. If you're just going to be appointing people and there's nobody else to go against their appointment. And as well as the person that didn't show up today for an appointment, well, I guess the reappointments, whatever. But the person that didn't show up for the appointment, I mean, maybe you just need to be considering the person that actually showed up. If the other person doesn't have any respect to, let you guys know that they're not even going to be here. And so that's really disenfranchising this other man that's sitting there waiting, that was all ready to tell you guys, why he wanted the position. If you're going to be considering somebody that is inconsiderate, still, it just wouldn't make any sense. And, and the fact that there's people that don't show up for this committee and we're still like having them be a part of it, that really doesn't make any sense. So maybe you need to be even thinking about replacing those individuals so that there can be representation from somebody who actually really cares about this and wants to do something, because there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse that's taking place. And, it's just really sad to see that there's people work very hard for the money that they give to you guys. And I don't think that you really consider that in a way of like thinking about it being, making sure that our money is going to what it needs to be. And the promises that have been made to the people, it's like we're constantly paying more money for things that we've already paid for. And so the fraud, waste, and abuse continues whether or not you guys are here. So something needs to be done about that because it's wasteful and it's disrespectful to the people who work really hard and don't sit up on a dais like you guys and, you know, just throw money around like it's monopoly money. It's really sad.
That concludes the public comments.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and second on the floor. We can go ahead and take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, motion taken, looks unanimous. Next, we will move to the appointment interview questions for the new appointee. It's item number 2, consider the appointment of one ITOC member in the real estate, local economics and/or right-of-way acquisition position for the remainder of the current term through May 2028. It's my only understanding we only have one candidate here. Thank you.
Correct.
Correct.
He's online.
All right. Work out the technical issues.
Would you like to go straight to questions?
If he can do it like a short
Okay.
presentation himself, like 2 minutes.
Can you please provide a 2-minute overview of your background, please? Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good morning. I apologize for not being there in person, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here via Zoom. My name is David Sanesteven. I have been with Colliers International for 38 plus years. In that time frame, I run the land advisory team, sold land for over $4 billion of sites in San Diego County. Specialized in the sale of subdivisions, multifamily sites, conservation, mitigation, easements, ranches. I've represented public agencies. I represent Leonine Municipal Water District, City of San Diego Unified School District, Otay Water, Helix Water. Sold deals to Caltrans for wetlands enhancement and Poway Unified School District, County of San Diego, as well as the YMCA, Salvation Army, Girl Scouts of America. And so I'm just an old dirt dog, and I was, excited about this opportunity and thought, it's kind of right up my alley, and it'd be good to, do something and give back. And I thought it might be fun. So I'm in front of you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll move to questions. Do I have any other members who'd like to start? Mayor Morrison?
Yes, thank you for appearing before us. So you are currently still involved with Collier? Is that your position?
That is correct.
Okay. And so you're still involved in sales to a lot of different entities?
Yes.
Okay. Do you find that there might possibly be any kind of conflicts between that and being in this position?
Absolutely not. So in my career, I really represent, sellers, and that's been, so whoever that is. So when, let's say water districts have hired me, I'm going to represent them to everything I have. So whoever I am working for, you got me. I mean, it's a fiduciary duty, and you're going to get 100% of who I am for you, whoever, I'm working for.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Mayor Ellers.
Kind of along the same lines, I appreciate the fact you're representing sellers. I think the other thing I saw in your background is that you're much more in the private sector, doing I think the position calls for somebody who is expert in real estate, land, economics, and right away. What kind of overlap have you had in your past with public Caltrans, or not Caltrans, I should say, Transnet type projects? Or have you been primarily, as I read in your resume, more in the private sector with development?
Yeah, I'm mostly been private sector, but I'll tell you, like when the best land appraisers get these jobs for right-of-way acquisition for easements, I think I'm probably one of their first calls because it takes someone to understand, everything that's involved. If it's environmental, if it's land use, whatever, because land is an obstacle course. Every piece of land is different. So every time you're going to acquire something right away, I can help navigate through that process. But I appreciate that, Mayor, because no, I mean that's been my living is representing private. Because if I just represented public agencies, I'd probably be broke. I wouldn't have the time to volunteer for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you do your job right, if you're on the iTalk, yeah, that's true. The sellers would be broke. Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor White?
No questions.
All right.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate your coming here today, and we will move to deliberation. Anyone want to share thoughts or comments?
I will. I actually appreciate the fact that he is private and not in the public sector. And that's the kind of independent in the independent iTalk that I'm looking for. So I would go with David.
Okay. Any other comments?
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
I'll make it a motion.
I'll second.
We'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I have one quick question.
Mayor White has one quick question.
Okay.
It has been brought up several times during this meeting that we have committee members who have not shown up to a single meeting. Are there rules that state we can find a replacement if they don't show up?
So there are certain guidelines when we send out the request to choose selection committee that is selected by the mayors of the region. So the certain selection committee members are selected by the mayors of that region. We do have a request to change how that works for the selection committee, and I know Sunny did bring that up. So we are working out to see how this process could be updated to see how we can better improve the process.
That would be great. I know I was the reason one time that there was not a quorum. I took my daughter to the hospital, but if we had members who showed up regularly, that would not have been the case. So I think if we can find a better way of appointing to this committee, it would be very prudent. So thank you.
If I could, I believe it is by the 4 sub-regions and then one for the city of San Diego and one for the county.
Correct. It's very pigeonholed in
Yeah.
that.
Is it
And
one from the county or two?
Huh?
One from the county or two?
just
Two.
was it 2?
Two from the, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
We have 7 total and 4 make a quorum.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not too sure in all my time on here, I'm not too sure if we've ever had more than 4 members, just enough to make the quorum.
Yeah.
On the ones we were able to make quorum.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This concludes the, This concludes the Transnet Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee's reappointment and appointment of members. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.